wake up and realize very quick. And with Mark always saying, listen, I need teachers, I don't need people to look up to me. I don't need people to follow me. I need people to get out and lead.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. He's the one for me as well that kind of, I never planned on doing anything like this. I mean, I started my Periscopes a few years ago after, I think it was after going to see Mark. I don't even think it was on, listening to his podcast. I think I had gone to see him, and he really went into a spiel about just what you said, and kind of made me think, well, because I'm not one for technology. I'm not one for the internet. I'm not one for, you know what I mean? I just, I'm not, I really just kind of live in the world and exist and behave the way I'm supposed to behave, and step in to life every day, and the computer, it's not my friend.
Tom,
it's actually so funny you say that. I'm sorry, Lisa, go ahead.
Oh, I was just joking. I was going to say, Tom, you're not a young whippersnapper like this 38-year-old, who
no,
who knows all that stuff. I don't.
I have to put my cheater glasses on and look at the screen and type I'm like, oh my God, I feel like my father. You know what I mean?
That's okay, because I'm sitting here, DMing Lisa going, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. I have no clue. I'm technologically challenged. I have no clue.
Yeah. I remember, at least when I went to school, I graduated in 89, and when I was in 8th grade, we took a computer course. We learned RAM and ROM, and we were told computers are the future, but we don't have anything to teach you. You know what I mean? So we took typing. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
A video game on Atari or in an arcade here and there growing up is that was my interaction with technology, blowing through quarters. And
exactly.
From there, I just, I don't know, it wasn't part of our lives, and when you're born and this shit's everywhere, it just becomes part of your life. It's just easier. In our day, you had to.
I can hear you, JC.
Oh, yep, I can hear you. Did you lose us? It happens, just if you don't know that. Did we lose her? How do I pronounce JC?
I pronounce
Jackie.
Oh, Jackie. I'm sorry, Jackie. I was butchering your name. You did it right, Tom.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jackie.
I would have thought you would have corrected me, so I think, I hope I didn't.
No, it's Jackie, and I either go by Jackie or my, Jax. That's been my nickname forever. So, and I like using Jax, especially on social media, because they have no idea whether they're talking to a male or a female.
That's true, and it's good, because then people can just focus on the information you're talking about, so I agree with you, but this whole social media world, to me, it's just not something I remember when AOL came out, and the buddy list was cool for about a week until people bothered me every 2 minutes, and I'm like, all right, get this off. You know what I mean? And
the actual only reason why I ever even joined so-called, social media at the time was because, of course, my kids were into it. And I remember starting with MySpace, and I created a MySpace just to be able to kind of keep an eye on them and their friends, to see what's going on. And then, of course, that evolved to Facebook, which Facebook actually just went to the wayside for me. I'm going to say maybe a year ago. And I finally dropped it because my kids are older now. My daughter's 30. My son's going to be was 26. Wow. In April. So, I don't have to, keep up with them that way anymore. If they want to talk to me, they know how to get a hold of me.
Right. But that got you familiar with it at least, and able to get around a little bit more comfortably, maybe? Or
It did. I mean, social media wise, yes, but computer wise, not so much. I mean, I learned the basics, and that was about it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't really know that we were being steered into a direction of social media, and because I kind of, I don't know, I didn't even get a smartphone till 2011, and they were out and people had them, but I was trying to, I just didn't want one. I just didn't give a shit, you know? And now it's like, you know, you can't do anything without it. And I remember when the first thing I ever did was to get on Twitter, because I was listening to Howard Stern at the time, although screaming at the radio at the turn he had taken into this. I don't know what he is now, but it's not what he was in the 90s when I grew up in the 80s.
What he is a sellout.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, and I got on Twitter because, you know, they would send stuff out, and it was within a year I was blocked from him, and he was turning into, you know, because I'm like, what the hell, you know what I mean? Like, you know, because I didn't give a shit, you know what I mean? And I started looking around at stuff to, you know, pay attention to, and Howard had just had Alex Jones on after making fun of him. I don't know if you listened back then, and he was making fun of him for.
I did.
Remember, he was making fun of the children and all, you know. So I didn't know who Alex was, and I was pissing myself over it, and I didn't know what I was getting into. And when I started, they stupidly, actually, or purposely, brought him in, and he started talking about a lot of things that piqued my interest, you know.
Yeah.
Because I had always, you know, known, I'd always been a UFO guy, a JFK, a John Lennon. I've been a conspirator studying, you know, for truth, but I never really realized we were this ruled, you know. Mm-hmm. And when I started listening to him, I started going, you know, damn, you know. And then, of course, you know, you had Libya happen then, and Syria and all this shit. And I started going, what the hell, you know? And then I stumbled into David Icke. And once I stumbled into David Icke, it changed everything for me. I was then able to see such a bigger picture on his, you know, expanding his work. And then I found Mark too, you know. I mean, there were so many other people, but these are the big puzzle pieces that helped me see the bigger picture and connect more and more dots, and to realize, you know, wait a minute here, there's something to this, you know. I mean, I didn't question 9/11 until David Icke, and I remember when I realized it, I cried and cried, you know, and then tried to tell people, and they didn't want to fucking hear it, you know. So then I got angry, you know what I mean? So,
and I honestly believe too. I mean, I can say for myself, for the first 40 years, I lived in a bubble. Mm-hmm. You know, and I call it my other life now, because there were so many things that were important then that are just so not important now. Yeah. And my wake up call, I think, well, it started with 9/11, and just kind of like, things don't make sense here. I don't understand. And I would say the first person that really blew me and my husband's doors off was Jordan Maxwell.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Another must go to. Oh gosh.
My husband, you know, had been indoctrinated into the you know, Jesus saves and all this.
Oh yeah, same here. Me too.
I was lucky. I never had that type of indoctrination. I never really even paid attention to, you know, what was going on in the world, like overseas and, you know, things like that, because it just didn't enter my world, my perspective at the time.
Right. No, I would agree with that. Because we thought we lived in a different world. You know what I mean? Why, you know, you grow up and you try to do the best you can with your life and for your kids and for what, you know, you're not realizing that, I had to parent the whole world. I didn't freaking know that, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? You guys are really that crazy that I have to parent all of you? Like, you know what I mean? But it's true.
The even bigger one is that not only do you have to parent the world, but it's like, are you guys really, do you not see how batshit crazy these people in power are?
Yes. Yeah. You know, it's that's always been my thing too, you know, where people just, the world is what it is. Well, why is it that way? You know what I'm saying? Like, wait a minute. Like, it is what it is, because, you know, again, parenting is so askew. People continue to just think they have a right to do certain things that they don't. And people close a blind eye to, things they just decide, oh, it's business or it's this. And there's so many things wrong with it up that ladder that even in your smaller world, like for me, I worked for the city for 11 years and I worked for a corporation, the state for 2 more, and then a corporation for 14. I was just never someone who could just go and do my thing and that's what I got to do for my, like I've always been outspoken and I've always been, but I never thought I needed to do that on, like you said, a world level or a global level or anything, because we all believed we lived in a different world at that point.
Yes, the illusion in itself is so strong. That's what most people, and I think being coupled with the fact that in the 80s, it all started to be all about me and mine.
Yes. It's very true.
Yes, that coupled with it was like, oh, well, this is just the world. This is just how it works.
The Alex P. Keaton years,
and yet people let people just idolize the heck out of like the 50s and the 80s, like to no end.
Yes,
it's true. I'm sure I'm guilty of that. I know you're right. You can yell at me, Lisa, because I'm guilty of that sometimes. Because again, my own bubble and my perception at the time, I rebelled against all of that in the 80s. I was in grade school and high school and the world of heavy metal, of glam and drugs and women that they put out there. There was actually an underground movement of very good music going on with a lot of philosophical points and moral storytelling, and that's the heavy metal that I got into. It backfired on them.
It is amazing to go back now and to listen to things that I loved then. And I mean, I was the same way. I mean, I graduated 1986.
I was 89.
so that in that era, I mean, I remember loving Pink Floyd, loving Queensryche, loving all these, Metallica before they sold out.
Yeah, I know. And well, they did that, so you remember that. That was a very disappointing time in my life. And when they sold out,
and I was tied up into all that, the drugs, the concert, and then I got pregnant with my daughter and I went into La La Land because, society dictates that, oh, no, now you got to settle down. You got to be responsible. You got a child on the way.
Well,
and you lose that.
Yeah. Well, you worded it pretty well, La La Land, because once you do have, a family and a child, because the same thing with me, you kind of, everything else that's kind of going on, like it's outside of you're raising, you're wiping asses and clean up throw up. And you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you're definitely not looking to sit down and look at all the problems in the fucking world at night. You know what I mean? To relax. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So, but then, you get older, they get older, and you poke your head back in the world again and you go, what the hell happened? Wait a minute.
I'm sorry, but wait, when did this happen? What?
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly, because that's why I stayed so asleep for so long after September 11th. My kids were just born.
Yes.
I wasn't, it was a horrible thing. And the following year, I wasn't celebrating watching the building falling over and over again. I didn't even want to look at it. You know what I mean?
No, it made you sick to your stomach.
It did,
sick.
It did, I mean, I was still in a uniform technically. I wasn't working. I left on the 6th, out sick and using time while I was waiting to leave. But, I technically was still in uniform that day. And the last thing I want to do is think about, people that died that day. And I didn't even question at that point that something would have been,
the furthest thing from your mind is, oh my God, our government did this to us.
Yeah. I wouldn't even, as evil as people are, I always kind of blame the egos and the jerk offs that were in the positions there, and always always naively thought, you know, it was just about getting the right people, you know, even on my local level at the police department or the corporate level, you know, just getting the right people in and get people that want to do the right thing. But it's just, it was beyond my, you know, I couldn't even have recognized it at the time that it was the system designed that way at that point.
Me neither.
You know, I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm glad that eventually that breakdown occurred, because I look at these people walking around and, you know, just with their masks, and even when they're driving and, you know, by themselves, and you know what I mean? And they're jumping away from it.
I saw that this weekend too.
Oh, you know, but notice when we weren't allowed out and it was just kind of us going out, you know, it was kind of the people without masks. Now that people are coming out again, that's what you're seeing. And the masks.
I want to know, well, I know why, I guess, but it also seems like they're also taking us backwards as well with their CDC guidelines. Yeah. Here, where I'm at, I'm in Nevada, I'm in Vegas. My husband and I have worked, both of our jobs are considered essential. Everybody's essential, but you know what I'm saying.
Right, right.
We have yet to wear a mask. We have yet to wash our hands consistently, more than common sense when we used to.
Exactly.
No, we refuse to put a mask on. That's just, that's not going to happen. And they've set us back now, because at first, even when people were on lockdown, it was starting to be like you, Tom. We started to see it less and less. There was those few, you know, and now everybody's back to wearing the damn masks.
They've let them loose, you know, and soon they'll want to police us from their inside their mask and start telling on us. And like, I'm watching people, like, you know, they have these stupid 6 foot big circles that say 6 foot social distance with a big dumb smile in lines at convenience stores. So, and look, my wife, God bless her, thank goodness I wouldn't eat without her, because I would starve to death. I can't go to these stores. I can't do it. I can't, you know, but I do go into my one convenience store and get my stupid cigarettes and all the things that, you know, I choose to put in my body, whatever poisons, not what they choose, you know.
That's right.
But
my body, my choice.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing how that only applies to one thing in people's heads, not everything, you know? It's crazy.
Moral relativity at its best.
Exactly. You know, which is it's the whole point here, you know, like I just seeing now, like you said, these people, instead of being at those 6 foot red markers, they're standing back 2 red markers, and, you know, they got their mask and gloves, even some of them. And, you know, I want to be up there. Like, you know how before you tell people move up, like you just kind of get up on them and they fucking move up. Like, you know, I don't know. I don't want these big spaces and feel like I'm all the way back here in line. Like, I walked into that store the other day. I think I said it in my video, and the guy was, and I don't want to name him, but he was, almost said his name. He was out front. I'm like, dude, what are you doing out here? And, you know, just what are you doing out here? And he's like, we're at our max. So, you know what I mean? I kind of have to let people. I'm like, you're not stopping. Don't have to wait. He's like, no. I would have went right back to the fucking truck. Like, I can't stand it, you know, that much. And it seems the best way to do it, because these people are geniuses, clever, evil, Duke-and-smirch geniuses.
What's a Duke-and-smirch?
Doofenshmirtz, whatever, from Phineas and Ferb.
Phineas and Ferb. Oh, okay, cool.
Look,
okay,
I got that reference.
Okay, that cartoon. Okay, I know. Now I know. Okay.
You gotta check them out, Lisa. You'll
I will.
exactly
That's one cartoon
about.
I have not watched. I have watched a lot.
I thank my kids for that one. You know, they still had some good stuff on when they were little.
They did.
They did. But they're going to get the people to do it. You know, they're going to get each other to, teacher, hey, he's not, you know, I mean, this is how they're going to do it. It's an easy mindset. It's how they do everything at work, at school, you know, I mean,
they have people by the proverbial balls.
Yeah.
You know, these people that are going to work in their masks because they, you know, have now said that you must wear a mask.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're happy to be at work again. So, you know,
and you can't blame them for that. But if they only understood that all it would take, especially for these freaking corporations, which I hate with every fiber of my being, if they would just stand up and say, you know what? No, we're not going to wear the mask. You guys have fun trying to find people to run this place.
Yeah.
Because I'm out.
Yeah. You know, and isn't that amazing? That's the hardest thing for people to do, I have found, you know, to be that first voice, because so many people are with you and then all of a sudden they take a step backwards and you're left all by yourself. You know, it's happened to me so many times in life while taking that. But this is where we are. This is what needs to happen. Like you said, Jackie, I don't care. You want to wear a mask and you want to stick 13,000 vaccines up your ass. I don't
knock
care.
yourself out.
Right.
Yeah,
just don't tell me. Right. Just don't tell me what I have to do. You know,
exactly.
That's my problem. You know, you know, and it's kind of. Go ahead, Lisa. I'm sorry.
Tom and Jackie, I do have a sin to confess, sort of.
You always.
You wore a mask.
Well,
I'll explain.
No, I'm with you, Lisa. I've had to.
I got a nice organic cotton mask from a gal on Etsy, and it's awesome. The only time I wear it is because there's a local store here called Menards. Well, it's a brand. It's the national brand. But basically, they have that's only like one of the places like nearby that like has like toilet paper consistently.
Right.
So shit I need, you know, and that's the only reason why I wear it, and that's the only place where I
get it.
That's the only reason. The only fucking reason why I do that. I hate
but I'm
the
sure
mask.
you get rid of it the second you can.
Oh, I do.
You know what I mean? It's not like,
I do.
Right. So you're still. I mean, you know. I mean, look. I think I told you last time. You know, I have my survivor buff, or when we were texting, I was telling you. I don't know, but I have my survivor buff, and that's what I do throw on when I go into my one store for my 2 to 3 minutes a day to get the shit I need, because I used to be able to go to a gas station to supplement, and now they're making you do it too. So that was the only fucking reason to go there. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to go there now, you know, and wear a mask.
We're actually lucky here. We prefer that you did, but we're not going to enforce it. So I've kind of been trying to get the mindset going of being in transition. I need to stop giving these companies, like, I mean, we're lucky enough there's enough open that doesn't require it, that we can go about our normal business, you know, grocery stores, things like that, without having to wear a mask. But I'm 100% committed to trying to transition to dealing with individuals instead of these corporations. I want to be able to locate and find, like my hairdresser, for example. You know, I haven't seen her in months. It really doesn't mean that much to me. I could, you know, actually kind of care less. But I had told her, you know, when everything opened, I was like, I know you're going to be busy, you know, but I just want to let you know that I'd like to get in, but I will not wear a mask.
Right.
And she texts me back and she's like, I'm sorry, you know, and her mom owned this shop, but she had said that the cosmetology board had made it mandatory that if they don't have you wear a mask as well as them wear a mask, then they can't serve you.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, you know, that I get that. I don't want to endanger your license or endanger you guys' shop. So how would you feel about possibly swinging by after the rush and making a house call, and I'll make it well worth your time?
Exactly.
And it took her a minute to text me back. You know, I was like, okay, you know, you got to throw the line out there. Maybe they'll bite.
Right. Sure.
And eventually she texted me back and she was like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I was
Very
like,
nice.
cool.
Yeah, because you know,
you just let me
not
know.
just you now. A little light bulb went on. Anybody that doesn't wear one, I can make that time and keep my customers and go. You know, like you might have saved her business there. You know,
well,
because
that and they can make the profit to themselves.
Exactly.
Nobody has to know anything.
Exactly. You know, so look, these are ways that we as people need to kind of try to outthink before, of course, you know, the neighbors calling. There's people coming in and out of the house next door. It looks like they're getting a haircut. You know what I mean? Like we need to be more of us before there's more of them. You know what I mean? Because that, like you said, holding these businesses and these small business owners accountable to their, you know, grand high exalted mystic power of their certificates and their, allowance to have business operate in their town, is what they're using for these people. Because I know the gas station that they're small people, you know what I mean, that own that. It's a little deli in the gas station.
Yes.
They don't want to tell people not to come in. They need the business, So someone either complained or something happened where they would have went through the same thing, where they wouldn't have been able to, operate if they didn't, agree to this and enforce it.
The Karens of the world. Don't you have to just love them?
Yeah, because that's the route they're going to take first. I mean, it makes sense, America, they, at least probably globally too, everybody loves to tell on everybody, you know what I mean? And it's been something in this area anyway, I know in other places it's much better, but in this area where I live, it's especially the years I spent as a cop, you just realize how many people will call the police on each other. And, where I grew up outside Philly, it really wasn't like that as much, And
people have grown dependent on calling the police to settle their matters.
Yeah.
It's like, really?
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
My husband and I are the type that, we're going to settle our disputes with anybody else. Mm-hmm. Without calling the cops. And if you're fearing for your life, well, that goes back to you have that right to protect yourself, your property, and your loved ones.
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely the truth. I have never in my life called the police to come and, even though I worked there for 11 years, that's one thing I learned very quickly. You don't want these motherfuckers in your life. You know what I mean?
No,
you don't want it. You don't want it. And I'm not saying I haven't been in many circumstances where people were beat to hell. I've been on rapes. I've been on murders. I've been on everything, but most people call the police because they want someone to come and tell someone else to do what they want them to do. You know what I mean? That's really a neighbor dispute or, like you said, an argument or a domestic or,
they need an intermediary. If everybody would just stand up and back each other up. I mean, our neighbors were blessed. Yeah. Our neighbors, they know. If they need anything, we'd be there in a heartbeat. We're not going to let anything happen to them. They're not going to let anything happen to us.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's the way people need to be. We need to stop depending on, because, I don't know if you guys caught it yesterday. I didn't do anything. It's the first I picked up my phone was literally, Lisa, I don't know, 10 minutes before you texted me today.
I texted you today.
Yeah, I saw it as I was on my laptop. I'm like, oh, there she is. I was wondering if you were going to say, where are you? Because I'm always late. I do my best, Jackie, but I'm late sometimes.
That's okay.
We still love you.
You're here.
But I lost my train of thought anyway, whatever I was going to say, because I don't know. Brain fart. It'll come to me. What the hell is
It'll come back. It's just bouncing around there off the walls. It'll come back. You were actually talking about people depending on uniforms to play intermediaries.
Yes, right. Exactly. And that's what I was going to say. I would have put this up with one of the videos I would have did over the weekend if I would have did one, but I didn't. I like to watch, although he can be a little preachy with the religion sometimes, he does understand the embodiment of things. This Joe Imbriano from the Fullerton Informer, I like to watch him at times, and he was covering a protest yesterday in, I think it was Huntington Beach, California, and it's still up. They haven't taken it down yet, and there was just people everywhere, signs for their rights. It emotionally moved me in a positive way to see, how many years of we've been trying to say things to people and to get people to understand. And all of a sudden there is a little bit of people realizing, strange things are afoot here and they're doing something about it rather than just, kind of blowing things off as, oh no, it's what they say it is. And we wouldn't be at that point if all of this shit didn't happen. But I still know how much more, like you guys say, needs to be done as far as, because the numbers are not on our side. And
personally, I have two problems with protest. Mm-hmm. Number one, anybody flying an American flag should have it upside down.
Yeah, I know. And there's political shit in there too. Trump signs. I can't stand it. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Orange man bad. All government bad.
You know, I know. And there's actually even a lot of, in Jesus, I don't mind the in Jesus name, but, through him, Jesus, it depends on, you have to believe in him. Like I don't like certain ways that it's phrased, even by people who do embody the principles, because there's many ways to get to that understanding, as you guys know, I mean, you can study Freemasonry, you could study Kabbalah, you could study tarot, you could study another religion. There's many ways to understand morality and what Jesus, the teacher, taught, not some God that rules over you. And so you must believe in me and everything, that can be more of the dialectic,
it's another layer to the illusion that people are stuck in. They, I mean, like I said, my husband, I was lucky. I was not indoctrinated. My husband was. And he had it was a life-shaking event where he was like, oh, what do you mean? I don't say this magic phrase and get to go to heaven.
Right.
Wait, there is no heaven. There is no what? WTF is going on here?
Yeah.
But people, they're just, as long, I see it as long as something can help lead them to here.
Agreed.
To this place.
Yes.
I don't care how you do it.
Yep.
But don't turn around and tell me that I'm going to hell when I know.
Exactly. It's exactly right. You'll even see that in the chat of the protesters, all kind of, religious aspirations of, I don't know,
well, see,
condemnation of others, put it that way. Condemnation of, anything outside.
My second reason that I'm not fond of the protest, well, I guess it'd be 2 and 3, would be number 1, they're pushing a divide.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2, I'm not political at all, but where did Antifa go?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't it make sense that they're going to start inciting violence at these protests?
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I like I said, I like seeing people. See, I go both ways with it, because I understand you can make a statement by getting together without masks and not 6 feet separating, but like you said, that's not what's going on. It's
It's a divide.
It's a divide. Yes, it's a divide. Exactly. And Max Egan says it. I try to say it. The best way is to just not cooperate with this thing, especially the vaccine and the tests and the bullshit trackers. And,
I can hear you.
Uh-oh.
I can hear you.
Yep, we hear you. Did you drop?
I can hear you. No, I can hear
I
her.
think they're attacking. Maybe they're getting her. Uh-oh.
Did we lose each other again?
I can hear you.
Oh, there you go.
I can hear you.
Mine went completely blank. Tom got cut off mid-sentence.
That does happen.
Welcome to our world, Jackie.
Yes, it does. It does happen. But no, it's true. It's a divide that and as people like Max Egan say, I try to say, we all try to say, not cooperating with this thing and just realizing this forced vaccination, this forced testing, this tracker. These are things that people need to go, what? What are you freaking kidding me? Like,
you have to draw a line.
Yeah.
And that's my line. You will not test me. No. You will not vaccinate me. No. And if that's the way you think you're going to try to make it, I'll be broke. Yeah. I'll be homeless.
Yeah.
I don't care, because that's my line. If I allow that to go on my watch, I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm part of the problem.
Exactly. And that's how I like, and you have to get to a certain point in the understanding of this thing to really get there. You know what I mean? And I think that's what people are afraid of. They got to let go of all the Q beliefs, Trump beliefs, Jesus beliefs, flat earth beliefs, all the things that are, that are coming to save us, and realize those are tools. Those are things you could, but this division is what makes them strong. We need to just come behind the commonality of one thing. We're losing our rights. We need to care about each other's rights, and rights are based in absolute, true, objective common sense morality. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I look at these teachings sometimes and go, God, I really don't understand why people can't get this. It's such common sense.
And they're
misery,
actually. It seems like they're actually. They've put in the roadblocks for us to try to get it through people's heads and remind them of the truth that we are divine, we are sovereign, and we are free.
Mm-hmm. And
we have our divinity inside of us, and nothing's going to take that away. They're all afraid of something taking that away.
Yeah, and this is what our whole existence is about. I mean, it's even enshrined in this country's constitution, and it's not even really said to you like, no, we're giving you these powers. It's interpreted that way, but it tells you they don't come from man, right in there with a Freemasonic tone. And then again, right away, people, Freemasonry,
Freemasonry is all evil. Until the hills.
Can't be possible that anything is neutral, and people are using things a certain way. You know what I mean? Like it's so that division is just, and like you said, Jackie, they can. Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh
no, I was just going to say I cannot. I'm like you. I get heated too, and
I do.
And I don't mean to talk over anybody, but
me neither.
I am a 100% convinced backer of Manly P. Hall.
Yeah.
When I started listening to him, and I mean, I think I've listened to every lecture that man has ever put out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And people will say to you,
oh Lord have mercy, you're going to hell, you're Luciferian.
He's a 33rd degree Freemason. Why are you putting his stuff on Twitter?
And that's the one thing they don't understand. He was, and I fight this all the time, he was never a Freemason. He was made an honorary Freemason of the Irish Order when he was, I'm going to say 70.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And nobody wants to hear it.
No.
He's teaching the Luciferian doctrine. There is no such thing as a Luciferian doctrine.
Yeah, well, that's the same shit, people that trash Mark Passio, and you know what I mean? They don't, and I've referred to people before, people that have flunked Mark's course, they took his course, they got to a certain part and they just flunked it. They just, they got to go take the test again. yes, because if you're listening to the actual teachings of what he's explaining and you're really understanding, not only do you see how they all connect, but you can see how they were passed down. You can see what they're trying. Like there's so much in the understanding of that knowledge of self, of how it's being used, of past cultures and how they used it, all of it, how their civilizations were run and controlled, and like there's so much there, and people just.
As soon as most people hear occult, they're like, "Oh God, God, no, I can't look there. They've told me that's evil."
It just means hidden for crime's sake.
Yeah, and God forbid you use the triangle in the eye as a, I had someone point that out to me when I, oh look, and they sent a picture of Mark on the What on Earth Happening set with, that side view there with the eye and the triangle. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I was there the day we fucking decided to put that there. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ. Well, like they're trying to tell me, ooh, he's a bad guy.
Can I interject something in here too? And it's not about Mark.
Yeah.
But and I'm not like saying like everyone should believe everything that, person A, people should do their own research, use a trivium.
Absolutely.
Of course.
100%.
100%.
And Jackie knows a little bit what I'm talking about. And I did watch the video that this person tweeted out about like, hey, about Judy Mikovits, like, hey, be careful,
Yes.
But on the cover of the thing, there's like the 666 hand signals, like, and it's a good video actually.
That was bullshit.
Because he did talk about like he did bring up good points. I will grant that silver trader dude. I think that's his. But anyway, but no, he did bring up good points about divide and conquer in general. I mean, it's not. I didn't turn off the video like within 5 minutes.
No,
Right.
I watched the whole
Right.
thing. I sent
I
it
did
out.
too.
I mean, there is truth in everything. It's if you
Oh,
take in
yes.
information and you absorb everyone's conclusions about that information, you're not learning anything. You need to take in
No,
everything.
you have to learn how to be a critical thinker and to discern information.
Absolutely, you know.
I
And
mean,
I thought she
yeah.
explained, you know, a lot of aspects to make help other people question what is going on here. Just like, you know, anybody that, I don't know, and I'll use Alex Jones for the moment, can say something that is 100% true and you can agree with them. And then they may have, you know, a side to them that is politically leaning like he does, which makes me not want to listen to every word he says and not, you know, but what he just said about this topic rings true. You know, like when Mark was just on that show, I've harped on it a few times. That's a lot of people that got to hear, you know, an understanding of natural law, morality, rights, the role of order followers, the law of freedom. I mean, it was a lot, you know, that he got out there. And
I mean, I know this phrase is overused, but so many people are just ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Oh God, okay, no.
Yep.
There's a shill.
Yeah.
There's a shill.
Yeah, that is this truth community online. I mean, it's not all the truth community, but that is the portion of this. You know, I tell you, I gotta be honest. I don't miss Twitter a little tiny friggin' bit. I do. I'm glad that they suspended me. I'm glad I never went back, and I'm glad I don't hear. I miss the people that I followed, who got it, who I communicated with, who would, you know, that I do miss. But
yes,
to me, it's not worth all the other shit that comes with it, because I don't need that, reassurance that I'm right, and I'm just glad other people are getting it. That's why I turn my comments off. If people get what I'm saying, I don't need to be like, yay, they get what I'm saying. I don't need to do that. And to me, if I turn them on and I subject myself to all the bullshit that gets typed under there, that takes away from what you're saying, that, you know, look, I'm human. I'll read it. I'll get pissed off. Like, I don't care enough about what you're saying to have that there. I don't need it, you know? So I don't mean to offend anyone for that. You know, comments are great. I love everyone. I just, it doesn't, that's not what I do it for. It's not what I don't need it to keep me going. Did I say the right thing?
You don't need that. You don't need that dopamine hit.
No, I really don't, you know, because most of the time I say things and people roll their eyes and walk away from me anyway in real life. So you know what I mean? Because, you know, not so much anymore as it's playing out, but in the past.
And that's it. Half of the time, I won't even go back and read things. You know, like people will post afterwards.
Right.
Unless they're directed, you know, if somebody puts the, you know, at Jax, you know, to communicate. But otherwise, I really don't even go through. I just hit heart, you know.
Yeah. No,
I hear any of you think.
and you know, that's what I was doing with my second account. I wasn't really communicating and responding to anything. I don't know why they suspended me. I really don't. You know, I did that in my first account sometimes early on, you know, and I figured, all right, they got me somewhere, but I didn't do that in my second account, and they had no reason to suspend me.
You were already on their hit list. People who speak truth. I'm actually floored because some of the stuff I put up, I'm waiting. I'm just waiting.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
You know, just for them to say, okay, done.
It'll happen.
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't. I mean,
right?
They took down defenders of like my first WordPress blog. You know, they got rid of that. But besides that, I mean, they haven't like suspended me.
Well, and you know what? That's because I think the blog was someplace for people to actually go and read it instead of in 120 characters or less. You could go in depth, and that threatens them.
Yeah, they and eventually I think everyone will be, you know. I think they're leaving a little bit of the fishing line out there. They still want to see who's saying what, and you know, and look, I don't give a shit really, because I'll say it here, I'll say it there, I'll say it to them, I'll say it. This is so. It's kind of what I was explaining to my mother today. I'm like, you know, your son, you know how I get, and this is so. Not something I'm saying to you out of anger or out of, you know, you don't this will not, like you said earlier, Jack, they're not vaccinated. They will not. I'm not having it. I'm not, and I'm prepared for whatever those consequences are, no matter how horrific they are. If I'm all alone, maybe I won't. Maybe I won't be all alone. Maybe something cool will happen. I don't know. I haven't seen the end of the movie yet, but you know what I mean.
Hey, that's the cup. That's the cup half full. That's where we're trying trying to keep you there and my husband there. I've got my hands full. Okay.
Yeah, it's a rough ride. I know. My wife's the same. You know what I mean, and trying to keep me, because it's true. Look, I'm sure I'm the same, and your husband too. You just have days where, and I'm sure you do it, and you too, Lisa. You just have days where you just look at it and go, how the hell are we going to really get out of this? I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Yeah, you can't face palm enough. You're just like, oh my God, I have a migraine. You people are just deaf, dumb, blind, and stupid.
I can't I post like everything. I don't mean to like spread fear or like emotional mind control stuff, but like I just feel the need to get out there, and I mean like I don't know if that's bad. You know what I mean? Because
people need to know. They need to know it all, and they need to come to the realization that, I've been propagating. Everybody needs at least a 101 in psychology.
Oh yeah,
very true.
They have everybody right now. I mean, I remember growing up, you didn't hear about people with anxiety, with panic attacks, with all this emotional baggage. It wasn't common. Now it's every other person.
Yeah.
And they're literally not psychologically capable or emotionally stable enough to handle the truth.
No, it's very true. It's from an aspect of my own trauma and the years I worked with the kids and their trauma that I worked with. It's, people don't really realize that, the aspects of most of everything, which everybody, we all have, like you said, this might have happened to us, that might have, but we all have a commonality of that. We all look externally here for answers, you know what I mean? And people will grab on to whatever those answers will, boost their ego or make them feel, instead of dealing with that trauma or dealing with, whatever psychological issues they may have that make them walk around angry that they haven't dealt with. And then that's becomes a part of their personality, whatever it may be. People just, want to be
somehow
lifted out of it. They don't want to do the work because it's not a fun ride, when
you sit down. God, and that's it. You have to do the work, and it's some of the hardest, heart-wrenching,
it is
soul dragging.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when you have to look these things in the eye and confront them. I mean, it is so true when people say this work will tear you to the ground.
Yeah,
it will.
Yeah.
But on the other side of that, they've got to realize that once you do face it and you feel it and you heal it, that
and
you get
understand
stronger. It does nothing but make you stronger. But so many people don't even want to look in that mirror.
No.
But they really have to. And I'm
They're
going to
just
be
completely afraid.
Exactly. And I hate to be a hard ass here, but and I'm not saying like he's the only one people should follow, as but at the same time, like I one of my favorite astrologers is a Leo King, and he has paid stuff and non-paid stuff on his website, and he talks about basically how things are going to get a lot more serious and a lot more intense for the rest of the 2020. So if people think that things are going to get easier, they're not. So
they're on hopium. They're all on hopium.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's
serious.
And serious shit.
There's a common sense factor in people too of saying, well, they can't do this forever. It's got to get back to normal. They don't really realize how in depth these controllers are looking to take this. Like if they would bring into themselves the fact that they've contrived this whole thing and they're looking to hurt people and they're doing it to hurt businesses and the monetary system and to create this fascist, a dictatorial, centralized government that wants to surveil them and control them, people will be like, they don't want to deal with it. They'd rather be like, oh, Trump's an asshole, or oh, it's the liberals. You know what I mean? It's way easier to just do that and externalize, or Q's going to fix it, or it's end times and we're all going to be, the 144,000 of us are all being taken away. And all the rest of us are fucked. You know what I mean? Because I believe
we're chosen.
Right,
we're chosen.
You know what I mean? Whatever the hell people tell themselves, to not engage that truth of how bad this is, because if they do, then that understanding of, holy fuck, I gotta really do something about this here, or care about this.
I have to be accountable. What do you mean I have to be accountable?
Yeah, they
well,
don't
I've never been accountable in my whole life. Well, oh wait, yes, no, I have been accountable. I'm accountable for me. It's all about me.
Yeah,
but they're not. It's a false accountability.
Yeah, which has gotten everyone to this point. The system's very well designed to understand how to appeal to that false sense of accountability and make it real.
Psychology.
Once
again,
absolutely. That's
they
why
know.
Oops, sorry.
I'm sorry. They know how our mind works better than we do.
Absolutely. It's why, look, people hate me when I say it. My friends make fun of me. I don't give a shit. The show I watch, which you guys probably know, and you do, is Survivor. And I watch it. I won't give it up. I give up TV. I'll watch movies, whatever, because I don't like it. I don't like what's on. But the show Survivor is such, yes, of course there's a propagandized, facet to it. There's symbolism, there's archetypes, there's personalities that come on that try to sell certain things. All that's there. It's television, Yes. But the premise of the game is the art of perception and how people perceive things and how other people manipulate that perception to get their way, and if people don't realize that's the world you live in all around you. And you can learn things from the apophatic. You can learn things by looking at negative behavior. You can understand things better by not everything is the devil. You know what I mean?
And I was so angry, I would say for at least a year, after I really started seeing and researching and going back and going, oh my God, that I cut myself off from that, because I don't know if you guys, but I went through that phases. Oh my God, I can't watch TV anymore. I can't listen to music anymore.
Well,
this life just sucks. I was, oh my God, they almost had me on the Jesus juice for a while.
Yeah. Well,
until I went deeper.
Yes. Yeah. Well, because a lot of people take that quick little Y turn, and it's easier onto the Jesus route because there's a savior there, and a group of people that can point the finger at other people, and it's. But you're right when you go that little bit deeper. But I did the same as you, TV, and it wasn't. Look, to be honest, after the show Seinfeld was over, I really had no interest in television anymore. I like to laugh. The show was funny. Understanding the Kabbalistic tone to it and the lesson of the entire thing and some of the, points of some of their episodes. I didn't know then. I understood the point, but I didn't understand how it related into some of these things. It's amazing how they put everything in certain things. But I can certainly go back and watch them, laugh at the joke, understand what Hollywood's trying to do, understand what should be being done. And you know what I'm saying? Like people.
That's what I was going to point out is that now, when you do, it is good for people after getting past that point to go back and watch, because it's very true when they say you're seeing things with all new eyes and all new ears.
It's true.
And you pick it out. Then you can start recognizing it. It's like an association game, because you could be like, aha, oh, I caught that. I caught that third eye.
Yeah.
Oh, I caught,
I get that joke. I get what they're saying there,
Exactly.
Or like, for example, to take a nerdy tone of this, Tom is used to be doing this. like I really grew up really during the 90s, and I love Disney cartoons like the Aladdin cartoon and the movie. And I also liked
they were in my house all the time.
Still is
See,
here.
Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, all that. Yeah.
And
Yep.
and another gem from Disney that is actually everyone should watch, in my opinion, is their Gargoyles cartoon, and that thing is chock
absolutely.
full of, I mean, like, stuff. It's
Gems. Yeah.
it's just
there's gems. Look,
everyone should just watch
there
it.
is.
They're on DVD.
And yet, like He-Man. I'm sorry, but I was just going to say, like He-Man and Gargoyles. Do you notice every single one of those cartoons used to end with a moral to the story?
Yes, they did.
Yep.
So they had to go. They had to go.
Mm-hmm.
That was my route to the actual police department, and I didn't even really realize that growing up superhero cartoons. And then you get a little older and you're watching the police shows and movies, the Lethal Weapons and the Hunter, and they're all the good guys, and they kind of buck the system and tell their chiefs and captains to go fuck themselves, and they do the right thing, and you know what I mean? Like this was my appeal. Yeah, these were my appeal, and I just happened to get in so young at 18 that I was able to literally get out before I was locked in there forever, because the last 4 years that I was there is when I really started to see things weren't, they wanted us to do things, tickets and this and that. And you go, what? I'm not fucking doing this. We treat people this way because,
And you always point it out, though. You always make it a point to point it out that there was a shift, and there truly was.
There was.
There used to be, the motto. They lived. All policemen, most policemen. It's never an all. Most policemen lived by the credo of protect and serve. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to be good people.
Correct.
Yeah, Lisa Mazza would not put up with this shit. Let's just say that.
No.
She would not put up with this shit. She'd be saying, what the fuck is this?
No.
Yeah.
It's well, but that's how they do it, I mean, and over, like, I think I saw, maybe it was on Twitter once, the progression of the police using a Lego character, and it was Joe Smiley and Joe Friendly, and then it went to this next, then a SWAT guy, then a chopper guy, then this militarized cop. Like, they do it so, and I did witness that. I remember the year, and it was 2000, that the flag on the uniform inverted, and they put the stars on the wrong side. And I had a fit about it. I'm like, what the fuck is this? That's not our flag. This is not our flag. It's
nope.
Well, and I was told that year it was a mistake, and we're not paying for it again. Just it is what it is. And then the following
how they
year,
do that, right?
Oh yeah. Well, the following year it happened again, and a fellow cop of mine, we made an issue of it, and that year was 2001. So by September, October, I had gone. But you'll notice now those stars are inverted on football uniforms, on T-shirts. I mean, everywhere. And that was the turn of the century. They knew what they were doing.
People don't even understand because they won't look any further than their perception. Closed off perception will allow them to. That a pentagram in itself is not evil. And when it's placed in the upright position, it's honoring spirit first.
Yes.
God, be it God, spirit, the creator, whichever, but it honors them first. And source.
Yes.
God, source, spirit. Exactly. But they won't even go that far to know that when that is an inverted symbol, that then it's putting the self first.
Yes.
And the whole inversion is the hallmark of the archons, whatever you want to call it. So it's the whole inversion and the whole
they've taken over.
Yeah, that's what they and that's what they've done is they've taken all of the systems of belief and taken over all of them and just inverted them to what they want to use them for, taking the knowledge, whether it's psychological or of the aspects of the environment and how it works. They've just subverted it all, hidden it all, and they're utilizing it all to their own, ends, which of course is to be the gods of everyone. They want to see all, they want to know all, they want to rule all. And, they're doing it with their technology. They're going to be able to do all of this. Like, people don't want to realize that that's the actual understanding of what Satanism is. The like you said, the inversion of that spirit with the ego first, spirit driven to the ground, and your source being your own selfish small cares, of how you do things, why you do things. And if people could kind of get that, it helps pull that divide, because then you can connect certain traditions with other traditions, and you can see the same point being made all over the place. It just starts to fall.
Story.
Yes.
But Tom,
every story.
Yeah, I do have to make a couple of points.
Go on.
Okay, I will. But
Lisa keeps me honest. She does. She keeps me honest.
No, you guys are making. You guys are awesome. You're making.
I know
valid points up the wazoo, which is good. But like with the, okay,
let's hear the but.
For the Christian, I was raised Christian fundamentalist, Lutheran Church, Missouri Synod, Lutheran. So there's different synods of Lutherans all around the country, but it's based in St. Louis. Anyways, so my dad was pastor, and 2 of my 4 brothers are pastors. So I grew up in that system, firmly ensconced, and I eventually broke out of it in general, thankfully. But Tom, the whole looking at the different, looking at the similarities between belief systems, at least in when I was growing up, that was called unionism and syncretism. The whole the syncretism is from the Greek word of meaning to mix together. So that's what I finally found out. I asked my brothers what did syncretism mean. They never fucking explained it to me. It's like,
so you're saying though it was done from a point of religion though, not morality, but a point of religious synchro. Okay.
Yeah, for example, say there's a huge hullabaloo in 2001. There's this LCMS pastor. He was part of a interfaith, whatever, thing after 9/11. And it's everyone's oh my God, it's unionism and syncretism. It's and I was saying what? I'm in college and in 2001. It's what? And,
right.
So if people
that's interesting information, because those are 2 terms that I never heard.
No, especially not applied to this,
Yeah, because the unionism is that's the whole intermixing with other faiths type thing, and the syncretism is more like anything that would dilute the pure doctrine, from what I understand.
They're scripted doctrine, if you do not believe this way, you do not belong.
Exactly.
Right. You have to have that, because that's, speaking of which, I know it's getting late.
I know. And my last, and actually that goes into my last point.
Oh, yes, no, finish. Yes, sorry.
No, you're fine. No, it's okay. But I wanted to point out three great resources for actually four for survival stuff, for preparedness. Maybe 5.
Yes,
actually 5. Okay, the first one is he has a YouTube channel, and it's also a website. It's called The Modern Survivalist, and that's Furfal from. Basically, he survived the 2001 economic collapse in Argentina, and he puts out awesome stuff.
That sounds like a great resource.
Yeah, it's themodernsurvivalist.com, and he also has a blog spot, but it's easier with the .com. So it's a Modern Survivalist, and the second one is on Twitter. Jackie, you know him. It's TURRELL and then MIKA.
Mikkel.
Yeah.
Yes, Mikkel Terrell. He is just an unbelievable resource of good stuff.
Okay. Yes. So he's number 3, and he's number 2. Sorry. And then the third one is mypatriotsupply.com. That's a good one. Let's see, what's the 4th one? Ice Age Farmer.
Yes, I like him.
Ice Age Farmer. And the 5th one is Tom. This is one of the sites that's Mark mentioned in one of his last videos, that the z-lib.org.
Okay. Yes.
Basically people can go there and they can download books for free. If you donate to them, you can download more. So, but for example, if you donate $30, you can download 80 books a day, which is my limit right now.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I mean, that's something he brought up too in that, little
okay, but
interview that he did. with Mike, was those kinds of places to go to and get information. Kind of, I don't want to use the word dark web, but they're decentralized, right? Decentralized aspects of the internet that there's a lot of good stuff on that they can't take down. There's that's what I was going to say too, though. If people haven't seen that little talk that he had with Mike, his producer, that night I would recommend the last 5 minutes at least. Somebody actually cut that last 5 minutes and put that up separately. I grabbed that and attached it to one of my videos, and I sent it to everyone I know. Like when I'm sending stuff to people, I do it through text a lot of times because I don't have all these. And if you realize too, the David Icke video that he did with
London Real. Yes.
Those 1.3 million live views, 2/3 of those views were from people sharing the link.
And I found so much hope in that because there is a girl that I work with at UPS that she was completely shut. Like, I would mention things and, of course she would shoot me down. And we're standing there the other day and she's like, I heard a video because we've been talking ever since this vid thing, and she goes, I don't know if you've heard of this guy. She goes, let me pull him up. She goes, but he made a lot of really good points. And she shows me her phone and it's the video of Ike and Real. And I was just like, I have
That's
hope.
Wonderful. Yeah.
I have hope.
Look, if there is anyone that pumps the most hope into me, it is that man. That man is just, I could listen to him. His whole attitude of understanding that, this is about going through this and because you've seen I can get half full, half empty, and believe me, I spend many days half empty, and there's so many half full aspects that I forget them sometimes. And when I can listen to the second interview in particular, the last 20 minutes of David Icke, and that in particular talking about fear and why he's stronger than them, why we all are. Those kinds of things give me hope. And of course, this third one, he got into a lot of that. And all of a sudden, just like you, people are that I know are listening to David Icke that would never listen to David Icke, in all the years, none of the books that I have, nothing. And I'm like, look, that's hopeful. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care if it adds 6 fucking people and we still all died. That's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm happy with that.
Exactly. Hallelujah. It's like, hallelujah. They got somebody.
We may have lost, but yeah, I got 6. You know what I mean?
I love to listen to Max for that same reason.
Me too.
Max will give you hope.
I agreed. I agree. Max is another one. He's one of my favorite people on the internet.
Yes.
Even when he's angry and swearing, he does it in a nice, cool way where he does you know what I mean? I'm like, I wish I could do that because I sound like a maniac sometimes.
That's because
you do, Tom, but we love you.
I know.
We love you for it.
I know.
But
I've been told
Max has that radio voice, and it's what people want to hear. That was like my whole reason for thinking about doing the shows on natural law. That may be coming from our personalities instead of Mark's.
Yeah.
Because Mark's one of the best teachers ever.
Yeah.
But so many people will be like, oh my God, I can't handle him. He hurts my feels. And it's like, it's supposed to hurt your feels.
Yeah. That hits my hot button, because you're absolutely right. It's supposed to, and he in particular, has a way of, he did it for me. I listened to him, of course, went to the beginning of the podcast after watching certain presentations and came forward. And I did, I have to confess, a little bit in the middle there. I jumped a good 30, 35 of them from like the 120s to the 160s or whatever. I shouldn't have, but I did. Because I wanted to get into the ancient, aliens aspect of it. And so, but I missed some gems in there because, the things that he talks about from his perspective, it can't really be replaced. You can't go and do Mark Passio. Only Mark Passio can do Mark Passio from his experience and his knowledge base and but like you said, we can help people with the stepping stones of getting started where maybe people can work up to it, because
we can bring a maybe it's the same level of passion, but we
Right.
can just deliver it in maybe a more palatable way.
Yes.
If, you know, like you said, people still, it's the information they don't want to hear. So people will still run from it in droves. But if it gets, like you said, any amount of people to just do what you just did with the David Icke thing, and me too, with people listening to David Icke out of nowhere, if it gets any amount of more people, well, you know, who knows where that can go, or where,
Yes.
when I sent that cop video of the cop, you know,
that
telling
was
everybody,
great.
it was, and I sent it out to everyone, and I included a group chat that I don't answer often, but it's my retirement list and guys that I used to work with, and you know, for whenever they get together. And so, you know what, there's like 20 plus people on it, and plus ones that I do talk to that I have contacts for. So I'm like, I think I'm going to send this to these motherfuckers, you know. And half of them I don't even really know. Like I said, you know, who's on there. So, you know, oddly enough, I got a lot of "who's this" after I sent it. You know what I mean? I'm like,
God, wouldn't you like to know?
You know, yeah, right. You know, but you know, I did it because, you know, listening to what he is saying, you know, if even one of them, two of them, hear and agree, and maybe their son's still a cop, maybe their friend is, maybe they're, and they play it for that person, and then that guy takes it into work. And you know, I know from my own days, there were groups of us that, you know, it's the police departments are very divided. At least they were in my days. You know, you had your ass kissing jerk offs that wanted to just do anything they could to the chief. They would tell
climb that ladder.
Oh, it was like grade school. I'd come home to my wife. I'm like, I don't know if it's the people on the street or the people I work with that drive me fucking crazy the most. I'm not sure. You know, you know what I mean? But you know, there's a you know, smaller now, I know. And again, not saying in any way that the job itself is right, and you know, a man holding authority. I get all those concepts now, but we got to deal with what we have, and what we have right now are a bunch of guys that are going to be ordered to do some fucked up shit. So there are groups of people in there that don't want to do it. And
we have to appeal to their humanity.
We do, because we got to get them guys brave enough to be the right example, so that enough people, you know, because we're followers, you know what I mean? And if enough people do the right thing, and, you know, other people don't have the balls, you know, and then those other jerk offs that want to go out and hurt people, well, they get exposed. They become the minority. Right now, there's a lot of egos that, you know, are the majority, that really aren't questioning things, and they kind of love being in charge of people. And that was just not the mindset when I was there in the 90s. It just wasn't. I'm sure it was in other places in the world, not around me. You know, it just wasn't. People wanted to just keep the peace and everybody chill out. Leave me the fuck alone. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to bother you. You don't bother me. If you need help, we'll come help you. You know, that's just kind of what it was for the first 7 years. But that has changed, you know, and those other people that I'm talking about that were there more back then, they're still in there. There's just not enough of them. I'm not justifying what they do. I'm not, you know, glorifying and saying they're the good cops. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying that these are the ones that will speak out if they just realize that they need to, you know.
And on the flip side of that as well, I mean, you know, of course, you know, you guys know that I don't believe in the authority figures and it's the uniform and what have you. But when my husband heard that gentleman speak, it gave him the hope that they're not all bad. They're not all looking to hurt people. You know, maybe I need to tone my perspective on them, you know, down a little bit and judge them on an individual basis and not as a whole. And that was, trust me, my husband, you guys are soul brothers. You really are, because you've got this righteous anger.
Well, I'm glad to know that, because sometimes it can feel very lonely. So I'm glad to know that, you know, I'm not the only person screaming about shit. My wife's like, will you relax? You know what I mean? I'm like, I am relaxed. What are you talking about? You know what I mean?
this is my relaxed face and my relaxed voice. What do you want from me?
Exactly, you know. So I'm glad to know that, you know, because
you are not alone. I swear to you, you guys are soul brothers on a level, because I have a hard time. He knows the truth. He's just he's still in that transition where a lot of stuff, he's very, you know, very angry.
Oh yeah.
And very, very angry.
I would say I've been there, but I get there still. I get there still.
Maybe the Sacred Gift of Anger would be a good presentation for him. Maybe, Tom?
Yeah. Has he seen that? Yeah. Has he seen that one?
I did send it to him. He started to see it, but where he's at right now is the point where he has to be in the mood to listen to it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You know, because if he's in the middle of the righteous anger, which, you know, he's learning and he's doing wonderfully. I mean, we are leaps and bounds from, you know, where it had begun. I love him for him. I know why he's angry, and I also know that person inside.
Right.
You know, he's not violent. He's just angry.
Well, that's what people mistake now: aggression and anger with violence, and they're completely different things. You know,
yes,
I mean, there is righteous
the
anger.
Sacred masculine is being destroyed as well.
Yeah, it's all purposeful, and it's there. You know, I mean, to be utilized. Every emotion is there for a reason. You know, and getting control of those emotions. I think I was saying the other day on my thing. That's, you know, we write people off. I would see this a lot with the kids I work with, write them off as bipolar. Well, he's got a lot of pent up anger. So if he's walking around, you know, with stress up to his neck and someone bumps him the wrong way, he loses his mind, but he's really mad about all kind of other shit that has nothing to do with it. So, you know, it's understanding that and then being able to get control of our own emotions. So it's a process that he's going through, that I'm still going through, that I believe really never comes to a full, not in this situation, you know what I mean? Because things are going to piss us off. It's just going to happen, you know? I mean, they're trying to take our rights and our kids and our, you're going to get mad at that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we do have to wind down here a bit. I do want to offer some reassurance for all of us, because I think with the natural law thing, I think we'll be I think we can like break it down a little bit good. I think we can break it down really well, because we've all been through like dark nights of the soul and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but I know, Jackie, you probably have to go pretty soon.
I do. Yeah. I do. So, I have to leave.
So. Yeah, because I know we could talk for hours, and you know, maybe one of these times
we can. I know. That happens when we start doing it. All of a sudden, it's like 2.5 hours. Like, holy shit!
That's true.
I just want to say that it is just absolutely awesome and an honor to work with two other people that get it and get it so well.
Oh, ditto, Jackie. I agree, because we need this in ways to keep ourselves going, because it can be a lonely road. You know what I mean? It can feel, you know, like you know, like you said, you have your days. Like, how am I supposed to do this? What am I supposed to do here? You know, when, you know, so it is good to really realize that we're all here, and there's a lot more of us than we realize. And the more we talk, the more other people hear it. I don't care if one person goes, hey, you know what? That was pretty good. Maybe I'll look into it. It's worth it. It's not about likes. It's not about views. It's not about none of it, you know?
That's my goal, is to get only one single person would be like, you know what?
Yeah, I'm going down.
Maybe she is telling me the truth. I should look into this.
Yeah, this was interesting. Let me look into A, B, and C, and then it could be life-changing, you know? Because there's still time. It's a short window. But, you know, I think if we didn't utilize it, we would be going crazy. I mean, how else would you direct this righteous anger? You know what I mean? Like, he's sucking commercials, and you know what I mean? Yelling at inanimate objects.
There's only so many angry journal entries I can do.
Yeah, you're breaking pencils, and you know what I mean? Your pages are ripping. I mean, you got to be able to properly direct it. Well, you know, now I give you something to shoot for right now. I'm just kidding.
And that's it. Hopefully the outlet, in creating an outlet for us, we're also creating an outlet for others.
Exactly. You know, so exactly. So it's great talking to you guys. Listen, Lisa, you're going to hate me, but
Why?
I never pushed record. I'm a dumbass.
I'm recording.
Could you send it to me later? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, if it goes on, it goes on. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I just enjoyed talking to you guys.
Yeah, is it okay to post, Jackie? I don't want to
get some stuff out of it. You know, I mean, I think people need to listen.
Okay. You're okay with posting? I'll cut any personal talk out of the beginning.
I only started. I didn't start with any of our personal stuff. So.
Okay. Yeah. Right. I don't have it. You have to send it to me. So you will have done that already. You're right, Lisa. Thank you. I'm sorry.
I'm always right. You know that, Tom. No, I'm joking.
Well, that is true. No, that's true.
Come on. Okay, but I will send it to you. I'll send it to you.
Thank you. I had it set up, and I never pushed the stupid button.
That's okay. You know. Okay, but have a great Mom's Day, you guys. So.
All right. Do you want to just touch base? Give me a text as to when we do this again, or
Yeah,
do you
we'll be
wanna
in
set
touch.
it? Okay. All right. We'll do it that
Get
way.
reconnected. Love you guys.
Yeah. I mean, this works for me.
Same
So
here.
let me know, how your times and days and what's best, and let me know. We'll do it again.
Yeah, this is a true across
Awesome.
America podcast.
Literally.
It is. Well, it's great. It's different perspectives, different locations. I
Okay.
think it's good,
Okay.
All right.
Love you
guys.
guys. Bye.
Bye. See you next
Bye.
time.
Yep.
Bye.